Hey everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh, and that is Caleb. And today we got a Nebraska win in the book. Woo! Celebrate to the heavens. I mean, you never know what you got coming with Nebraska. So we'll take the wins when they come across the table here. So we got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to be doing some of the takeaways from the Fordham game and talking about a really pivotal now game with Buffalo here this weekend. Doing predictions, keys to the game, the X factors as a whole, and talking through it all. So first of all, I got to ask you, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very great. We got a win, 1-1.
Of course.
Big hyped. The first quarter was a little scary there, I think, for everybody in attendance. That was just so nice. It was great to hear the fans. It was a louder game, even though it was Fordham. It was just great to see. I think just the energy was really up, or maybe it's just been a minute since my ears have, heard anything that loud.
That's also true.
So maybe it was normal, but it was just great to see everybody, to be in the stands again, hear the crowd. It was just awesome. So very great. I can't wait to do it again this next weekend.
Dude, facts. On both sides of the ball, there was a lot of interesting things that happened. Obviously, at the end of the day, it is Fordham. So we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about all the takeaways and things, but it was good to see a lot of different depth pieces on the team and see all of those things. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball here and talk through it first. What were your thoughts on his offense? What were the biggest takeaways for you?
I think the first one was Marquise Stepp. Yeah, he did look a little bit better in game one, but in game two, I think he's overtaken the Gabe Ervin for now. Just looks like he's a little bit better with the running and the vision, and he's just had more experience at this point. Gabe Ervin's a true freshman, and Marquise Stepp's already started in a different program. So I think it makes sense that he looks a little better right now. And so, yeah, I think he's right now going to be the starter. Hopefully we can keep Gabe Ervin those reps, because obviously the coaches see something in him, and he is really young.
No, Stepp definitely looked overall like the more talented player in this game. It's after last game, I was like, yeah, Stepp has some good moments, but Ervin also showed some flashes when he had some good protection and some good blocking in front of him. This time around, it didn't look as good for Ervin. So that's been a little bit disappointing for us, because both of us were pretty high on Ervin heading into this year. So hopefully it's just the freshman, getting in the flow of game time and game speed. So hopefully we see a little bit better of Ervin as this year goes along heading into the second half. But I think for now, I agree with you. Stepp's going to be the guy. And so we'll be looking forward to that. Obviously, with how big of the run game is going to be heading into this Buffalo game, I imagine Stepp's going to have a lot of work heading into that game for sure as well. So, I mean, where's your upside with Stepp at this point? Do you see him as a potential guy that could be that legit workforce mainstay for Nebraska?
Yeah, I think it's just still to be determined. We saw a lot of running backs this last week too. Sevion got some touches, Ramir Johnson, and Yant as well. And Yant looked pretty good. So I'm hoping he can maybe climb the depth chart a little bit too.
Yeah, he did.
Because everybody was really excited about him coming to the year. So I think everybody was a little surprised that he was so buried on the depth chart. I get it that Sevion and Ramir have kind of been here longer, but I think Yant definitely showed a little bit more. And the fact that he can just fall forward for a few yards, again, is just so nice. So
definitely.
I think in those, those goal line situations, I think a dude that's just 250 pounds is just maybe that's too much physical prowess to pass up in that situation. So hopefully we get to see him on the field too later in the season.
Yeah, because we ended up with 65 carries on the day. 18 of them went to Marquise Stepp, and then 12 of them went to quarterbacks, Adrian and Logan. So, we had another basically 35 carries to divvy up between all the other running backs on the roster, and also some, to Torre as well. So overall, I thought it was a pretty promising day for the running game, even though the offensive line didn't look good. And so I think we saw a pretty good example of some of our running back talent on the team. But man, the O-line still is troubling, to say the least.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, nobody was ranked really high on the Pro Football Focus. Again, you can take that
for sure
how you want to.
But I mean, I think that's kind of when you look at the game, you're no one looked that great. I mean, Sickerman looked at least like he was decent, and I thought he had a pretty decent game overall, and that's promising for a guy coming in here as a starter now in his second game, looking pretty good there. But I mean, Ethan Piper still didn't look great. I wouldn't say Cam Jurgens by any means had a great game either,
or Banks, or
really Ben Hart. Any of those guys really didn't have great games. So
we just have a bunch of meh on the offensive line right now, and we were really going to need that to step up, because if we didn't look great against Fordham, who are
you going to look good against?
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely, we're in a scary spot with the offensive line. I think especially in the run game. I don't know. I don't know if it's just not aggressive, if it's coaching or what the case may be, but we really have a long ways to go for the offensive line.
Yeah, I agree. It felt like we just weren't getting that push in that first half. I think in the second half, it started feeling a little bit better. Like at that point, you're wearing them down a little bit. You know,
how many Fordham players are there? You know, you're at home, you have way more players that you get to put in, or at least get to suit up.
How many guys could ever? I mean, well, there were very few tackles to go around on the defensive side for Fordham.
Ryan Greenhagen, we got to shout him out. Broke the football Division I record for most tackles in a game.
Yeah, because it got
31. Yeah.
It was originally at 30, then it got edited to 31. So that's crazy.
So Ryan Greenhagen stands alone. So I guess that's a cool part about going to the Fordham game,
we're in history books.
Yeah, we're in the history books. And, good for him for, breaking that FCS record against
Nebraska's
a Division
best
I
chance
football.
to be in the history books this year.
Yeah, it's to do that against a Division I school for an FCS guy is extremely impressive. And, he looked insane the whole game. And, again, just after the PA was just announcing his name the whole time. So I don't think anybody in the stands could forget Ryan Greenhagen after that game.
Yeah, literally. It's going to be insane. So those are the biggest takeaways. Obviously, Adrian Martinez, he did what you needed him to do. He had a solid game against Fordham, which was good to see. And Torrey really is establishing himself as that go-to player for Adrian, the guy who he seems to trust well and make big-time plays with the ball in his hands. And obviously, we even saw him utilized in the running game. He had a rushing touchdown on the really nice option play at the goal line, which was probably the highlights of the day for a lot of Nebraska fans.
So, yeah.
When it came down to how well executed that play was. And hopefully we can see more of that this year with that type of offense as well.
Yeah, I think I'd really love to talk about the wide receiver depth chart a little bit here. So I think Torrey obviously has locked himself into the starter role. Also, Austin Allen looked great. He had 4 catches. And he just looked awesome all day.
Man, one thing with Austin Allen, though, is I think we still need to work on getting him the ball more.
Oh, yeah. I think,
targeting him downfield more and giving Adrian the chance to hit him downfield a little bit and maybe take some shots with him moving forward here. Obviously, he's still valuable to keep in and average bumps and things like that the tight ends like to do. But I really think that Austin Allen's a guy that can be utilized so much more than we currently are.
The way he could break tackles this whole game. Again, that's just something that he's shown he could do already. But just more of it. He looks, strong. He's fast. Just a sure-handed catcher. I think I couldn't agree more. We need to target him even more than 4 times. He had 61 yards in those 4 catches. I'd love to see him in the 6 or 8 range, more like around what Torrey had. And I think he could be right up there. And then also Omar Manning was 3rd on the stat sheet with 53 yards on only 3 catches.
Oh, man, he looks so good at those catches, though.
Yeah, I can't believe the depth chart came out, like the first one was officially released this week. And Omar Manning and Alante Brown and Xavier Betts were behind Oliver Martin and Wyatt Lewer, and which was really surprising. Now, I kind of get Oliver Martin because he did show some things in the first game, but he also didn't have a catch this last game. I think Omar and Betts and Alante Brown just seem more talented. And I really think that Omar, even more so than Betts or Alante, deserved that starting spot. He just like he's so big, he can break tackles too. The routes look really good. He's open. He's fast. I just really don't understand how he's not the starter from what we can see limitedly, with
consistent practice, Caleb. Yeah, it's all about that consistency.
Believe it or not, it's about winning games. And what I see in the games from the game tape is they look clearly the best players and clearly the biggest advantage on the offensive side, especially how Adrian struggles with smaller targets. It only makes sense to have Omar Manning starting on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see Lee Xavier out there a little bit more than he was. We ended up with, I think, 35 snaps on the game. So that's at least a little bit better step in the right direction. But you want to see him with that starting offense and seeing him get some of those jet sweeps like we saw last year that were really effective and created some big time plays and giving him more opportunities to hit some home runs. Because I feel like Xavier's that guy. He is that home run hitter. He's the guy that can take those plays to the house and getting the ball in his hands a few more times, giving him a little bit more opportunity would be nice for sure. I
think one thing that Nebraska can take from the Fordham playbook is those slant routes that they were absolutely just dominating us with in that first quarter and moving the field. They were just getting it to their most talented guy in a slant route and letting him create space. I think Xavier Betts is the perfect player for that. Get him just a little 7-yard slant and then seeing what he can do against the secondary. I think would be awesome for our playbook that we would definitely benefit from. I think, again, him being that fastest wide receiver that we have, or even Omar doing the same thing, just I would love to see that more. I thought Fordham did a great job of that in their scheming, and I'd really like to see Nebraska throw a little bit of that in down the stretch here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, I think Lure, like he has a spot in the offense. Like he's a value. He can be used for sure. Like he's not like a trash player by any means.
No.
We just think the upside for a guy like Omar Manning, game in and game out, it's gonna matter on the season, and we need him on the field to make those plays. And so hopefully that can be something we see moving forward. I mean, it's not like we've played two athletic teams at this point. So like a guy like Lure, can maybe stand out still as like a moderately solid athlete. But like once we start playing some more of these Big Ten teams, or playing like Oklahoma, you need the most athletic guys and talented guys on the field at all times. And that's why I think Omar's got to see the field. He's got to see the field. So that's gonna be big. Any other things on the offense, or you want to move over to the defense?
Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely ready to get started with the defense.
All right, lead the way.
Yeah, so I think we'll start off with the positive of Deontay Williams. He obviously looked fantastic. He had 2 picks. Again, he's so nice, just lining him up more close to that line of scrimmage. He poses so many problems for the defense. Is he going to blitz? Will he drop back in coverage? I think it's just been the highlight of Nebraska's defense thus far in the season.
Yeah.
And so I think doing that with Deontay Williams, we just continue to do it, because I mean, he looks so good again him. He gets
such a utility knife. Yeah, exactly.
He's like a free safety running out there. It just feels so nice. And again, I would probably, it's got to cause nightmares for the other defenses, again, having a guy who can use that. And in the NFL, that is so much of what you run anyway, is they're trying to mask everything.
Literally.
And with Deontay Williams, who looks like he can do that, who can line up close to the line of scrimmage and drop back into coverage, or it could create those problems.
He's been fantastic.
It's really exciting to see. And I think he's been the bright spot on the defense this whole year out of anybody. And I wasn't expecting that, but it's super awesome to see. So
for sure, I agree. I mean, I think another guy who really stood out was like DeAndre Thomas, again, looking still really, really good up front. He's a guy who I'm really excited about moving forward this season, who could legitimately break out and be a mainstay on the defense. Again, he got his black shirt, and he was kind of like that extra guy that we weren't sure if was going to get a black shirt, ended up getting one. And he's right now showing that he deserved it. So that's exciting to see for sure for him. And I think he's still playing very, very well. Even in his, he had, I think, 20 snaps on the game. So like not like a ton of snaps, but hopefully we can see him on the field even more moving forward as well.
Yeah, it was also good to see JoJo. He got more tackles this time. He had 4 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. Again, while he is amazing in coverage, I think, we also like him in the box there, run stopping. I think he's really important for that too.
I don't think we've seen the best of him yet.
No, I don't either. And I think we're going to definitely need him in the run stop against Buffalo coming up. So I'm hoping that we can do more of that. I really, the one down thing that I really did like with the defense was some of that zone coverage we were running.
Yeah, we were giving them a lot of space.
Yeah, it was a really soft coverage, and we were allowing them to dink and dump passes, which again, like teams like Minnesota or Wisconsin, like they'll kill us off that, especially if they're already getting good yardage on the runs anyway. Yeah. So I don't think that's the best fit for our defense. And I get that we're practicing it, but we just don't look that great in zone coverage. And some of our linebackers too. It's spotty. Besides JoJo, it's pretty spotty.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, one guy that we both wanted to highlight was Atiba Maga-Clements, looking pretty good there in his time on the field. And I think that's a guy that both of us are pretty excited about moving forward as a playmaker, and a guy who could probably hopefully see more time. He had a very few snaps, but when he was on the field, he was making plays. So
he had the most tackles for loss on the day with 1.5. And again, he looked really fast and definitely could be highlighted more for our defensive side. Again, he just looked really athletic, which is something that, maybe that has some question marks on our linebacking core. I think he could really fill some of that. And then, if you did want to run some of that zone coverage, I feel like Clements would be a way better fit for that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so far this year, I would say probably both like Garrett Nelson and Nick Henrich have been at least a little bit disappointing so far in their performance. And so, I mean, realistically, at least in my head, they wouldn't be locks to see mainstay starting time on the season so far. based off their first 2 performances. And in a game where the linebacking core is going to be highlighted, getting to the edge and making open field tackles against Buffalo, I mean, there will be some interesting debates about starting time and playing time and who's seeing the field in those matchups defensively for us this weekend. So I agree. It's been a mixed bag of kind of positives and negatives on the defense so far this year. And
I think
it hasn't really come together yet.
Yeah, it's the high expectations. You know, we were all hoping that it would be our security blanket. A
top 40 for type defense, yeah.
And I think some of it is we have the talent, but then some of the scheming we haven't felt has been great to this point. Maybe the play calling or how we're approaching the game. Now having some of the right chess pieces you need to play, I don't think it's been as wonderful as we've wanted to see it.
We're going to be a little bit vanilla against a team like Fordham, obviously on both sides of the ball. And you're not going to want to show too much for Buffalo or for Oklahoma these next 2 weeks, So, I mean, I understand the idea of like kind of keeping it basic and not doing too much. You're not trying to show too much multiple set and like not trying to be too creative with things. So,
but even
I'll level
creativity,
the expectations.
But even just some of our base defenses.
For sure.
Just haven't wowed the way that we were hoping it would against Fordham.
I agree. And there was just some things like in that game where it's like the turnovers almost like some of it resulted from pressure, but some of it was just like straight up bad throws or bad mistakes from Fordham. So it's like, it's hard to get too high on our supply here after this game when you're playing a team like Fordham. And that's a similar spot for where Buffalo is. So I think we can probably transition over to Buffalo now and talk about this team because they're obviously a really, really interesting team, a team that we really highlighted in our preseason predictions video as a potential trap game for Nebraska because they were 6-1 last year, looked really, really good. Their only loss came to Ball State in the MAC championship last year. They lost 38-28 last year. Then their coach last year, Lance Leopold, went to Kansas, of course, as one of the big hires this offseason. As a guy who got
the first win, man. He got the first win in Kansas in forever against South Dakota.
I mean, it was scary.
They stormed the field.
They stormed the field after they beat South Dakota. And they won like what? It was a game-winning field goal or like a? Yeah. It was a really close game. And so and I watched some of that game and it was a little ugly there from Kansas. I don't know, but they're bringing in Maurice Linguist as their new head coach for Buffalo. And in their debut game, they played against Wagner. The powerhouse Wagner, of course. And they won 69-7. They put up a lot of points. And it was about as easy. Caleb and I went back and watched the game together. And it was like about as simple of a game as a team could have. No turnovers, just kept running the ball, maybe 1 or 2 big plays. But besides that, it was just run the ball, 15-yard run the ball, 8-yard run the ball, 12-yard run.
They did have 1 turnover, but then the player, the cornerback, while returning the ball, fumbled it and gave it right back. So
no turnovers on the books, but there was you're right. There was 1 turnover. And so just a weird game as a whole for the Buffalo where like you feel like you can't watch that and take too much away from it. I mean,
Wagner's not good. I mean, they're like Fordham would stomp Wagner. So
they're a puny little school in New York. So it's like, that's the thing. So, New York, I think Wagner went it was like a really bad record in the past 2 years, like 2 or 3 wins the past 2 years against like no-name schools. And so you're like, this team's bad. But, Buffalo with a new head coach got one under the belt, got some experience there, got to work through some of those kinks, and they looked good. I mean, they did what they needed to do, winning 69-7 against a really bad team. So overall played a really, really clean game, which is what you'd like to see. So offensively, obviously, they want to run the ball. They want to establish the run, and that's what they're pretty good at. So what did you see with Buffalo?
Yeah, they have 2 really good running backs for them. They got Ron Cook, who's the backup, and then Kevin Marks Jr., who is probably going to go to the NFL. He averaged over 100 yards a game last year.
And looked really good in their debut as well.
Yeah, they looked really good. So they're going to pose a lot of problems. They have 2 really solid running backs and a really good offensive line.
Returning to legit
to
NFL
be fair, again,
talents.
Wagner, you can't take too much away. I think they posted it up on the television. They had their average defensive lineman was 6'3", 257. So that's
Caleb?
that's pretty small.
Right, is Wagner recruiting? I mean,
yeah, I do. Yeah, you just toss on another 30 pounds. Here I am, another 40 pounds. Here I am.
I know. That's tough. But no, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like they looked good, but they should have looked good. And they have some talent, and that's what we get nervous about. They're returning some talented O-linemen. A lot of their returning starters there. Two legit, like, potential NFL fringe talents there on the O-line as well. And, last year they had a ton of talent on the O-line with multiple draft picks as well. So, this is a program that's produced some legit NFL talent the past few years. Khalil Mack's alma mater, and some really talented players. Jarrett Patterson, of course, was their running back last year at Washington now this year. And so overall, offensively, they're a threat to put up some points. And it's going to be, and we'll talk about that in the X factors and keys to the game, but they have legit talent to put up some points here. How do you feel about their passing game and Kyle Van Treese?
Yeah, Kyle Van Treese is a third-year starter. He's got 63% completion. Now he has 16 passing touchdowns to 6 interceptions for his whole career. He's nothing crazy. He has some good throws, some bad throws. He's decent on the deep ball, though. I think was the most impressive thing we saw. He had a few nice moments
in that game.
Yeah, like sideline throws, he's definitely pretty solid at. And I think
it was the one to Keon Williams, right? Was the one that, or Taquan Williams is the one that looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was like a 40-yard bomb, just right up the sideline. So, and he threw a couple of good fades to the end zone too. So, obviously he's a Division I quarterback, but nothing too crazy. He's well,
you can't be giving Division I quarterbacks too much credit here, Caleb.
That's fair. You're right.
Based off what we've seen the past 4 years. But yeah, that's the thing. I agree with you.
He's not too much of a threat. He's just he's a game manager type of guy. But
going into their first game, their receiving core was like really questionable because they had a ton of guys transfer out after the coaching change this season, and so there was a ton of question marks about who's even going to catch the ball for this team. And Quan Williams was the guy that kind of came in and was kind of the rock for them, the guy who had a really impressive game and looked really good, seemed very reliable, and a guy that Van Treese is looking for. So he's going to be the guy to highlight, I think, in our game as the playmaker that we're going to be looking to put Cam Taylor on probably and shut down in this game as a whole. So we'll have to see what moves moving forward, exactly how that ends up playing out. But defensively, there's a lot of question marks. The one player that we have to highlight, though, is Taylor Riggins. He's a legit potential NFL talent on that side of the ball. In 2020, he missed the whole year because of injury. But in 2019, he graded out insanely well and was an elite player in the MAC and one of the best graded pass rushers in all of college football in 2019, top 15 in 2019. And so he's a guy, and he looked very, very good in their first game, disrupting Fordham or disrupting Wagner all day long. And so Taylor Riggins is gonna be the guy to keep your eye on in this game against Nebraska with our O-line and how that could potentially match up.
Yeah, I think their secondary has a lot of question marks. Nobody really stands off as a really good secondary. So I think we will be able to have opportunities to throw the ball against Fordham here. I'm pretty excited about that. While I think our offensive line is going to have their hands full, although I think they're going to have their hands full all season. That definitely Taylor Riggins does not help the case. Yeah, but hopefully there'll be some passing opportunities for us because that's definitely he's going to wreak some havoc against our subpar.
And the other guy to highlight would be Gaddafi Wright, who also looked really, really good in the linebacking core. So they have some talent to spread the field a little bit, make some tackles in the open field, disrupt a little bit. But yeah, the secondary is the key here. And can Adrian have enough time to throw to connect on some downfield passes? I think Austin Allen could be a big time mismatch in this game. And so heading into our keys to the game, that's the first thing I wanted to highlight was kind of the X factors there with some of our big time playmakers like Omar Manning and
Austin Allen.
Austin Allen, thank you. My goodness, I'm blanking right off the rip here. But both of those guys can be big time playmakers here in this game. And I think there's gonna be some real opportunity for them to have some plays downfield.
No, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Again, there is going to be some mismatch there. Again, like I said earlier, some of those slant routes, some of those quick passes that we can get out to our athletes. Yeah. Again, Austin Allen looks so good after the catch. He was breaking tackles, and that was a big way he got all those yards on only 4 catches. He was dragging another guy with him down the field, and it took 2 to tackle him. And this is just another great case of that with Buffalo. I think it'd be the same way. I couldn't agree more. I think, one thing we do is take away Quan Williams. I don't think there's too much passing talent outside of that for Buffalo. Obviously, their strength is the run.
Force him to throw to some guys he may not be as comfortable with.
So exactly. So if we take away him, if we put Taylor Britt, and then we kind of blanket him with Newsome, I think that, or with Dismuke, I think that will look really nice.
And then it comes down to our linebackers taking away the underneath and taking away the easy throws. And that's how we could potentially force some turnovers here if our linebackers can do a fundamental job of playing their zones and taking away the underneath. And if that's the case, and you force Van Treese to try to kind of slot the ball in across the field away from Quan Williams, then suddenly we could probably force some turnovers in this game. And that's how we can break this game open. So that's what I'm looking for here in a matchup like that.
Yeah, take away his favorite receiver and then see who's left, because again, they're mostly going to want to run the ball on us.
Well, that's the thing. We had to force him to throw in the first place.
And I think we'll be able to do that. I think our defensive line has looked good enough. Although again, their offensive line is good, so we are going to have to send more than we've sent in the Illinois. I mean, the Illinois did have a good offensive line.
Right.
So I think we showed real promise. If we can stay aggressive, we get a lot of sacks in that first quarter. If our defense can stay aggressive, keep throwing different things at them, keep making them, look at different stuff, I think it'll be great. And we'll be able to get sacks because
also,
we're going to consistently make them feel uncomfortable.
Right. And I think that's big for us. If we can stay comfortable with leaving, Cam Taylor on the outside in single coverage, or at least have a little bit of flexibility there to let Deontay roam near the line of scrimmage and make some plays, that'll be big to help us stop the run and, hopefully force him into some 3rd and longs.
Yeah, and hopefully, too, we want JoJo to help stop the run, too. We need our athletes up there because there will be times that they will get chunk plays off of their runs. So
and if we're not converting those open field tackles, then that's where these things could start getting scary. If Garrett Nelson misses that tackle on the edge, and then suddenly they're ripping runs, 15 yards down the sideline, 20 yards down the sideline, then you're suddenly in some trouble here. If Kevin Marks is getting free on the edge, so that's where I think we have to be pretty worried about. Overall, I mean, that's going to be a big time issue. And then I think at the end of the day, the game's going to be won and lost in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious at this point with the X factors on how our offensive line is going to perform, and then having legit talent in the linebacking core. And then for us and their very solid O-line, and then our inexperienced linebacking core and how that could potentially come to play playing 3-4. So I could see a world where we run a little bit more multiple D in this game with, maybe
having a forefront. I think that'd be
Caleb
smart.
Tanner on the offense, out there up front. I think that can make a lot of sense.
Darius Payne. I think that'll be. I think that's going to be really important again, because stopping the run. If we can stop that, because that's the engine of their offense. If we can really stall that out, I think Buffalo is in big trouble. So hopefully we got a lot planned up our sleeves for this.
I agree.
But how are you feeling for predictions wise?
Well, yeah. So the over under for the game right now is. It's a 13.5 line. We're favored by 13.5. The over-under is 54.5 points. So, I mean, my first thing is, just like last week where I was like, I'm going to have to see it for me to be comfortable picking the under. Even in a game like this with a Buffalo team that we just don't know enough about, we haven't seen enough of this year to have a good gauge of what they're going to do in a big-time game on the road at Nebraska. My initial thought is to pick the under, picking Buffalo on the line at least. When it comes to the X factors, I'm kind of on the side that I think we're gonna be able to pass the ball pretty effectively. And even though Adrian, I don't have a lot of confidence to make plays, I think our playmaker is gonna be able to get open downfield and create for at least some decent, easy throws for Adrian and create for some big time plays. So I think we're gonna be able to put up quite a few points in this game. And I was thinking the 34-27 range there and picking Nebraska to win by about a touchdown. I could see it being a 10-point type win as well, where it's a 30, a 37-27 type situation, something along those lines. But I'll go 34-27 Nebraska in a close win at home. If we end up winning by over 13.5, I will feel really, really good about this team. Yeah,
if we can beat Buffalo again, who was a top 25 team, with Lance, I think that'd be huge. Again, in the season's predictions, I picked Nebraska to lose this game, and I'm gonna stick with that for now.
No.
Yeah, I'm big scared of this game. Obviously, I'll be screaming my lungs off for Nebraska to win this game in the stadium. I think there's definitely a chance.
So what's
we will
the X
win.
factor for you then? Is it Adrian and turnovers?
I just think that
our special teams and turnovers, because that's something we didn't even talk about was Cam Taylor's returning issues in that game. But
yeah, I just think it's the fact that our offense isn't going to be able to score enough points. And I think that they're going to do enough things to score.
Is it just the offensive line?
I was scared that there was just some chunk plays being able to be had by Fordham, not only in the passing game, but also in the run. And I think that's a real problem. And I just think that our offensive line is not good enough. It is not good enough to establish any sort of run against a Buffalo team.
That's at least competent.
Who's competent and athletic.
So you're basically seeing an Illinois 2.0 here, is what you're really saying.
I think Buffalo would beat Illinois. So so I think again, I think this Buffalo team's pretty good. So I'm gonna have it 38-34 Buffalo. I think it's gonna be
that would be devastating, man.
I think it's gonna be a spicy game. I think both teams are gonna score a lot of points. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, but I think we're gonna lose.
Wow. Well, I hope we're dead wrong. Holy moly! I have us not beating the spread. You have us losing the game. Yeah. Goodness, we need some positivity around here, man.
Well, hopefully,
what's the narrative? Give us a narrative for Nebraska blowing out Buffalo.
Man, Adrian Martinez looks great in the passing. Their secondary stinks.
Our receivers are open constantly.
We're getting the ball out fast. Something that, again, I think that's how we beat them. Nebraska has not done that with Scott Frost,
if we're starting Wyatt,
Adrian,
and if we're starting Oliver over like Xavier or Omar, then suddenly it's like you don't see the playmakers on the edge to be able to get those balls quickly to them and create plays.
Adrian can't throw the ball fast enough. But if he could do that, I really see tons of problems for Buffalo, and I think we're fine. I do think that the run game is still going to be difficult, even with Marquise getting the ball more. Our offensive line is so bad. Nobody's great. It's just bad. There's going to be a bad snap this game. You can just feel it. Our offensive line is going to get tired, and our defense, again, while it looks really good in the first quarter, I think that Buffalo is going to bully us. I think that we're going to get tired as the game goes along because they run it so much. I think they're going to get their licks in the first and second quarters to tire us out.
Man, so I feel like for me, it's like I'm very confident Nebraska is going to win. I'm very confident Nebraska is going to win this game, actually. But like if the line was 7, I would definitely bet on Nebraska. But like the 13.5, there's so many different ways that it could go wrong for us. Even at home, we saw that against Illinois. When it comes to like the turnovers and just the amount of different ways it could go wrong when it comes to like mistakes that we can make, penalties, special teams, Adrian Martinez fumbling or throwing a pick, and all of these different things is where I just don't have the confidence to like pick us in a 13 2 touchdown type situation. And I feel like our running game is going to be able to stay afloat enough to give Adrian some chances downfield, and overall I think our front 7 is going to be good enough to at least keep him in check enough to keep us in the game. So
my other thing is just our team was so scared in that first quarter, and like you could feel it in the whole stadium.
Well, that's true.
And the thing is Buffalo isn't going to get you relaxed like Fordham is. Like I felt like we were still nervous even at 14 points, and that's just not me as like a fan, but just the play call and everything else. It just felt tentative, and I don't think Buffalo is going to let us relax where we're going to go up 21 points on them. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think that Nebraska, if we proved anything under the Scott Frost tenure, is that close games are not good for us. And I think it's going to be a close game, and hopefully we can pull it out. But it scares me.
That's fair. That's fair. I just overall think that our secondary is going to be able to force multiple turnovers in this game. I really, really think that. Like I could see 3 INTs in the books here in a game like this.
Like that, the thing is Van Treese as he is, like,
I mean, it comes down to can we force third and longs?
Like he hasn't thrown 3 picks in a whole season, before.
No,
I
agree.
think 3 is the most.
And it comes down to can they establish a run? But like last year, their O line was a top 25 O line. This year, it's definitely not. It's like top 50.
That's to be seen, I guess, still, because it was Wagner and they ran all over him. I think they can still probably be, a top 40 O line, which is. I know, but we could only dream of that at this moment.
But I still think that we're going to be able to put them in enough third and longs or second and longs where they're going to have to throw the ball a few times. And I really think our secondary is good enough to force him to make some big time mistakes here. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But fair play. Well, obviously, with a split decision here, I think you guys are going to have some juicy comments down below. Yes, so drop those comments down below. Let us know where you guys are at with this game. and your thoughts on the Fordham game, the takeaways, and where you at with the Buffalo game and your predictions as a whole for the game. It's definitely going to be a fun one, and we are obviously hyped to see Nebraska get back out there and hopefully.
And obviously,
prove
I'm
both
just
of us
nervous, and we're going to win. You know, that's how it is. You know, we're going to win. I'm going to be very excited.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. So. Either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you guys really enjoyed it. We do appreciate all those comments and everything, all the support. Always means a lot to us. But as always, guys, I'm Josh. That's Caleb. This has been Backseat Sports, and guys, we will see you next time.
Woo!
Go Big Red, baby.
Red.